implemented by TGM. And the very fact that we made just a simple announcement over a Diaspora Matters program, and you wouldn't believe the groundswell since then. There's a thirst, there's a desire, and I think we have a duty to answer the call of the people.
Speaking with GBN via telephone on Friday, Mrs. Thompson said that old political models are not working for the youthful population who are underemployed, working poor, or unemployed.
But what we're seeing now is that we have no longer a middle class per se. We have either the super rich or the filthy poor. And that cannot sustain. Grenada cannot survive in that environment. So something has to change. And we think that working with the people, we can make that change. Because the ideas are out there, not with us, but with them. They know what they want. It's just that nobody is asking them. People are telling them what they want. And that's going to be the difference.
The Grenada movement was launched in October of 2020. Questions about the TGM's shift from an organization that provides a forum for public discussion on matters of national importance to a political party getting ready to challenge the ruling New National Party in the 2023 general election will be delved into in another newscast. Former Attorney General Jimmy Bristol is the newest member of the Grenada movement. With his belief that people are living in fear under the leadership of the present regime, he explained his new position, citing the need for proper governance in the country. Chrislina John speaks with Jimmy Bristol.
Is Grenada operating under a dictatorship? That's the question former Attorney General and Attorney at Law Jimmy Bristol is asking as he cites danger in what he deemed politicizing of the police force and a lack of proper governance of the country.
Just don't we do what is right? Isn't there anything wrong in doing what is right? No. So then why doesn't the government do what is right? And it bothers me. What is the plan? To control people so that they can remain in power. It's all a power game. And a government is here as a servant of the people, not the other way around. And the people have become scared, and because they could lose jobs or they wouldn't get a job on the side of the road, which therefore the government has a complete stranglehold on the welfare and livelihoods of the majority of the people.
Bristol, who joined the Grenada movement days ago, says he felt obligated to do something that will aid Grenada out of its present state. The former AG says it was not his initial interest. However, upon hearing that the Grenada movement will soon be a political party in a matter of days, says he has always made his contribution, but not on the political front.
In my opinion, only now wanted for proper governance. It's been many years. It's really more acute than ever. And some of the recent developments with regard to crime, the police shootings, unheard of in previous years, police using firearms, very, very infrequent, if at all. There's the question of the respect for the rule of law, the respect for obligations, contractual and otherwise. We have the issues with the teachers, the heavy-handed manner in which their march was controlled under, in my view, the guise of COVID and distancing, when we can see all around us. That politicization of the police force is dangerous. It smacks of a police state in the making.
Bristol says there appears to be a selective application of the COVID regulations to any given business. However, what is even more worrying is the attempt to dismantle the civil service. The role of the Public Service Commission, in his view, is being undermined.
This concept, since they couldn't get through the executive agencies, of having contract workers, which is another, in my opinion, constitutionally suspect device, again, to create a new system of the civil service outside of the civil service. So the protections afforded by the Public Service Commission do not exist and somebody's on a contract, you can fire them at the end of the contract. So the security of tenure, which is guaranteed, which is enshrined in the provisions of the public service in the Constitution and the existence of the Public Service Commission, has been undermined, and these people don't enjoy that.
Christina John, GBN News.
This is News at 7. Coming up, we look at the Possessory Title Act as scores of people lose their property. Stay with us.
Paying is faster and easier with Flow FastPay. Use your MasterCard or Visa and pay from anywhere. Log on to discoverflow.co/fastpay and press Consumer. Select your country and enter your account number. Enter the amount to be paid and an email address. Enter your credit card information. You'll receive a payment confirmation with the transaction details, along with a receipt to your email address. It's fast, safe, and easy. Flow, keeping you connected.
There's a reason we have been here to serve you for the past 40 years. A reason we have continued to grow. A reason we have continued to celebrate. That reason is you. We have been here to help you plan for your future and here to help you celebrate your achievements. We continue to be here, even when the future seems unclear.
The bank to get your focus. Classy, affordable, eyewear. Service, optimal. Our experienced technician works like a magician. Trust your sight with our company's vision, where your satisfaction is ever our mission. Mobile services, family packages, economical prices. Spice Isle Optical is where the deal is. Spice Isle Optical is located in Queen's Park, St. George's. For more information, contact us at 449-1588 or 440-0353.
The safety and security of your information is always important to us. Ariza now offers chip cards, also known as EMV cards, which provide enhanced security for your purchases and are globally accepted. The new Ariza Credit Union Visa International Debit Card continues to have the traditional magnetic stripe with the additional security feature of a chip and can now be used at both chip and traditional magnetic stripe terminals. For your added protection, always keep your PIN private and store your chip card safely in a RFID pouch. Visit arizacu.com to learn more on how to protect your account information. Ariza Credit Union, your financial freedom, your future.
Sunday, May 16th, it's the Deal or No Deal edition with a whopping US $10,000 up for grabs. Listen carefully. For 1 week only, you can purchase a ticket for only $5 US. Whoa, that's a big deal. Wow. But wait, after the week is over, tickets are $10 US. That's no deal. So, are you going to take the deal? Remember, if you're playing in Grenada, tickets are available at gotofed.com and from numerous box offices island-wide or from our main office on Grove Street Mall. If you're overseas, tickets are only available at gotofed.com Waggity this one sell off! Cause Sunday, May 16th, it's all about Waggity Virtual Bingo, the deal or no deal edition.
I'm gonna take the deal.
GBN leads, the others follow. This segment is brought to you by Republic Bank.
There's a reason we have been here to serve you for the past 40 years. A reason we have continued to grow. A reason we have continued to celebrate. That reason is you. We have been here to help you plan for your future and here to help you celebrate your achievements. We continue to be here, even when the future seems unclear. Because one thing is certain, you're the reason we care.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Welcome back. If you own a piece of land and you don't want to lose it, you will need to act quickly. Scores of people have lost their property through the Possessory Title Act. Christina John has been discussing the provisions of the law with attorney Ewart Lane.
Possessory title is a title of land or property derived from possession without a deed. Strange but true, a number of property owners have lost their property to persons occupying same for over 12 years undisturbed. Joseph Ewart Lane is a legal consultant. According to him, statistics show that over 392 claims were filed in the past 5 years. He explained how this can be possible based on the Possessory Act, which became law on the 11th August 2016.
In what is referred to as exclusive possession, actual, exclusive, and undisturbed possession for a period of 12 years up until you file the claim. Evidence that you or persons connected with you have been in possession of the land and treated it as owner. In other words, you are not a tenant, so you'll not be paying a rent to anybody, or you were not there by the permission of anyone, right? You were there and treated it as if you were the owner of the land. You were the owner of the property for that period. How do you prove that you are the owner? There are acts of ownership. The best act of ownership is to fence the property around. So if you
There is a process that one must go through when filing for a claim. However, this allows the title owner to challenge. Lane explains.
You have to file a notice which is to be published in the newspaper, and then it goes through a process. You file in the High Court registry. You must display the notice in the magistrate court. You must serve the notice on all the adjoining landowners so they know that you are applying to get possessory title of the land. You must place the notice in the Gazette. After placing the notice in the Gazette, you must place the notice in 2 local newspapers. And you have to do that in each local newspaper. You must place it there twice. And there must be at least 2 months apart between the first and the second notice. All of these notice requirements are aimed at putting interested persons on notice that, look, somebody is laying claim to that land.
Lane also explains ways by which people can mitigate against the loss of their property.
The ways of protecting ensure that you always collect rent, or even though you don't collect rent, you get a receipt. Some people say you give them a receipt, but no, that alone is not evidence. If you give them a receipt, have them to sign the receipt. Because when they sign the receipt, that is an acknowledgement that the land belongs to you. Or you give them a license saying that, look, I'm allowing you to stay on the land, and they agree to that, they sign that. Or you give them an agreement saying that you can be on the land for the next 15 years, and they sign that agreement.
Christina John, GBN News.
A Grenadian descendant UK citizen is taking jabs at regional politicians for their way of getting support, particularly during general election campaigns. Jacqueline Mackenzie, popularly known as the Windrush lawyer in the UK, who was a guest on GBN's Release It program on Wednesday, said piecemeal gifts or short-term assistance rather than a long-term holistic development through education and health has been the political strategies used in Grenada and the rest of the Caribbean. The topic of discussion had been a case of treating, which is a criminal offense under the People's Representation Act.
Most Grenadians have not been interested in the national issues which affect them, but more in the handouts and little help politicians give, especially around the election period. Attorney at law Jacqueline Mackenzie, who is based in the UK, went on to add that politicians have not truly engaged citizens in the democratic process or involving them in the issues.
We're humans, and people are going to gravitate to where they think their interest lies, and they're seeing those interests very short term. I've now got my walkway. I've got a bag full of different T-shirts. Whatever else you've gotten. But what about the long term? And I think it's problematic, and I do really think it's problematic for the reasons that Ruggles said in terms of how do you prove what people are doing. And because you can't, and because things are so surreptitious and so easy to get around and do in other ways, particularly with social media, how do you value that?
The Windrush lawyer says the concept of treating is unique to the Caribbean region and other parts of the world, as in the UK, together with the Representation of the People's Act, they have the Political Parties Election Referendum Act,
which actually brought in a measure that sort of deals with things like treating. So that spending during elections and on campaigns, whether it's in referendums or whether it's on parliamentary elections or somebody trying to become an MP for a by-election, even at a local government level, spending is very rigidly controlled.
Mackenzie says in the UK it must be clear where the money came from, and one's budget dictates how much a political party or politician can spend.
But what we do have in the UK, which I doubt the region has, is an army of people, academics, journalists, busybodies in the community who do not let this go. So if you had a bus on the street somewhere with your face on it and you forgot to add that to your list of things that you've got to send in to the returning officer, somebody somewhere is going to pick up on it. So we don't therefore have many problems. We don't have many prosecutions.
She notes that was the reason the legislation was introduced in 2000 to control spending and prevent politicians from buying an election. However, adds that loopholes remain.
It then won't matter if the fact that you've put some carried beers down in the Woburn Crossroad or an ice cream ban, as I saw, because I happened to be in Grenada for the last election, and I saw all of that going on, and T-shirts, and I was just collecting up all the gifts. I was having a great time. Everybody was giving away stuff, and I was grabbing them. Didn't care who they were from. Now, whether that's corrupt or not, it would be irrelevant. If you have a policy or rules or a piece of legislation that says you can spend 10,000 and you can only spend 10,000.
I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
A majority decision at the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal and a unanimous decision at the Caribbean Court of Justice has returned to the election treating case of 2014 to be heard at the Dominica High Court. One may now ask what possible effects such a case and its results can have on future Grenadian elections. Gerard Joseph has the details.
Corruptly giving and receiving gifts, food, drinks, or entertainment is classified as treating, which is a criminal offense during general elections. Grenada's culture is integrally filled with food, drinks, or entertainment, and attorney at law Ruggles Ferguson says it has always been intertwined into our political culture, especially during an election period. He says the only difference is the extent of its use.
Or not, again, that amongst to corruption, because it is, and there's really a fine line, and that is the significance of this particular judgment, because there's a fine line now in defining whether or not it is corrupt or whether or not there is another purpose behind it.
Ferguson knows the laws on the subject in Grenada and Dominica are similar with slight differences.
In Grenada, Now, if you are convicted of treating or personation, as they call it, undue influence, then for a period of 7 years, you can't be registered as a voter. You basically banned from voting, and you are disqualified from being a member of the House.
One of the possible conviction consequences of breaching treating under the People's Representation Act is that a parliamentary representative can lose their seat in Parliament. It also was an issue up for contention in Dominica, whereby the magistrate, in effect, is given the power or jurisdiction to determine who sits or does not sit in the House of Representatives. However, Attorney-at-Law Cara Shillingford, who is representing the claimants in the Dominica case, says it had nothing to do with such powers because no one is above the law.
Because at the end of the day, if an individual does something wrong, then they have to face the consequences. Similarly, if that individual were to fall into bankruptcy and the court were to declare that person as a bankrupt, then that person would similarly lose their seat, have to leave the house, vacate. If that person becomes a lunatic, that person cannot continue sitting in the house under our constitution.
The attorney adds that the judiciary has a responsibility to ensure the laws are respected by whoever comes before the court.
In our Caribbean society, we have this notion that the executive in a democracy should be all powerful, and the prime minister and so on should have very great powers, absolute power. I believe that what would really strengthen a democracy is if the institutions, such as the court, can operate well and can remain strong regardless of who is in power.
She says a fair and balanced trial should be the precedence of the court, which will create a stronger society. I am Gerald Joseph for GBN News.
And now we turn our attention to what has been creating a buzz on social media. Let's take a look around the platforms. This is Social Buzz, where we shine a light on the thoughts and concerns of our online audience. A resolution is expected to be passed in Parliament, which will see the extension of the state of emergency for Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique that could stretch to November 20th. The resolution will be first heard in the next sitting of the House of Representatives, carded for next week, Friday.
A resolution for the purposes of Section 17.5 of the Constitution has been set in motion and is among the documents submitted for the next sitting of the House of Representatives. Section 17.5 of the Constitution provides that the resolution for the state of emergency be extended from time to time, each extension not exceeding 6 months.
Our online audience give their opinions on the possible extension. Ian commented, "Oppression in Grenada must come to an end. I grew up in Gary days, so I know better. State of emergency? Nonsense." He then added, "State of emergency extended. Total rubbish. Just to control the people. So sad." Kathleen commented, "State of emergency my foot. He is punishing the people for not taking the vaccine." Ryan asked, "If there are no cases on the island, why is there a need for another state of emergency?" Chris commented, "There is no need to extend the lockdown. The Prime Minister is just forcing the people to take the vaccine." Don commented, "We had no cases when the virus started in China. Remember what happened after? We are not out of the woods because the rest of the world is still struggling with the virus. Grenada is not alone in the world. We will have more visitors soon, and not all of them will have been vaccinated, so there is still a risk of community spread." And Shirley-Ann commented, "What's really wrong with this Prime Minister Grenada have here? If he wants the country to be under such a prolonged state of emergency, the master might send something for the country to really be under the state of emergency. Let him keep crying wolf." That's it for tonight's Social Buzz. If you would like to have your thoughts and concerns shared, be sure to comment on GBN's Facebook page. From the thought process to the visual impact, it's time to take a peek through the GBN Eyesore lens.
A good eye captures all. GBN Eyesore is brought to you by Clear Vision.
Life is beautiful if only you can see it.
Clear Vision Eye Center helps you do just that. We provide expert service, classy eyewear, and cutting-edge technology, all with a quality customer experience. See better, feel better, and look better. Meet us today at clearvisiongrenada.com or call 444-0055, WhatsApp 409-0055, or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Clear Vision Eye Center. Let's see life and the world with a clear vision.
Tonight's eyesore features mangoes growing out of the trunk of a tree which branches have been cut off. The photo was accompanied with the caption, "When you are destined to be fruitful, it doesn't matter who may cut your branches." It serves as a motivation to never give up no matter the circumstances. Send us your photos and videos via WhatsApp on 405-3052 or our other social media platforms.
Still ahead, Vincentians are in need of cash. The need for water is no longer urgent. This is News at 7. Yeah. Well, I can't help laughing. I don't know what to tell you. I guess we're doing news.
Introducing Color by Sissons. 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 Color by Sissons.
How going on, boy? Hey, good old things. Hey, easy. Yeah. Boy, in line, boy. Your house looking a real good day. Boy, it's thanks to the hard-working and professional staff at the Housing Authority of Grenada. They handled me real nice. They did my plan, they did the construction, and I didn't even have to worry about a thing. They were there with me every step of the way, supervising the job, asking me about my concerns, giving me feedback as the house took shape. They were there from start to finish, and even put the keys in the palm of my hand. I give them an A++ for customer service. Oh, it's people from housing bad, boy. Boy, not bad. Excellent. If you're thinking about constructing your home, why not consult the Housing Authority of Grenada? You could visit them right down in the Sandino complex or give them a call, 440-1015 or 440-1016. Or check out their website, hag473.com. They go handle you. They go jog your blocks, they go draw your plan, they go tote your materials. Hey man, where you going? The Housing Authority of Grenada is your choice for affordable housing and a stress-free construction experience.
Trends come and go, but jewelry is forever in style. Give a gift that lasts a lifetime. Diamond Intercontinental have diamond jewelry, gold and silver jewelries, engagement rings, wedding bands, chains, bracelets, and so much more. They also carry brands such as Anne Klein and Guess. Why wait? Visit Diamond Intercontinental Jewelry Store at the Esplanade Mall. Call 440-23-1234. The number again, 232-1234.
Message by the Grenada Distillers Limited.
You want a hand sanitizer to do three things: kill germs, be gentle, and to go where you go. You can get all of that in our hand sanitizer. Hard on germs, gentle on hands, affordable. Remember, hand sanitizers contain alcohol. Keep away from heat and flames and avoid contact with eyes. Available at retailers island-wide.
A message by the Grenada Distillers Limited.
This is GBN. We've got the means, the power, and the medium. This segment is brought to you by Flow.
Your hard work, talent, and creativity, plus Flow, equals more ways to chase your dreams. Flow is connecting all of Grenada, from Point Salines to Hillsborough, with the most reliable connection on the island. So now everyone can work, study, and keep moving forward together. Visit discoverflow.co for more information.
Welcome back. Residents of Windsor Forest are appealing for urgent attention to a strip of property which is in poor condition. They are particularly concerned about the potential for land slippage and property damage as the island prepares for the onset of the Atlantic hurricane season. Let's get more on this from Christina John.
For years, one homeowner says she's been complaining and reporting a dreadful situation she fears could soon cost her home. Janet McMeo of Stewart Cottage in Windsor Forest and David says a utility pole and continuous land slippage from heavy rainfall poses a threat to her home. She says many reports have been made about the situation. However, all she gets is just talk with no action to fix the problem.
Afraid that we go with my house. Yes, and the pole is very dangerous. You know, long we call me electricity to fix that pole. You don't come in. They just don't come in. Plenty times. Mr. Finley and them come about 2 months back, you know. They only come in, they taking measurement, they come in, they taking measurement, and they don't come in. The rain season come in. And the rain season coming, fall on top of my house.
She says she cannot sleep peacefully as she fears the pole will fall onto her house.
The sun gets hot and the rainfall, that's why it's breaking up. You got plenty of people passing and they saying, girl, take care of your house, go, you know, with the rain season that come in. Everybody passes watching that drain. Everybody passes watching, standing up and watching that drain. If I had money, I would have fixed that already, you know. We don't have. And there's plenty of money to fix that drain.
McMeo is calling on the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure to do something before the rainy season begins. Christina John, GBN News.
There's nothing better than an unexpected gift, yet alone a year of gifts. Jonas Brown and Hubbard's Grenada Limited plastered a smile on the face of its first winner of Hubbard's Live Free for 1 year promotion.
The winner of the first prize, that's the Live Free for 1 year promotion. The first prize, or the first winner, it is Gloria Purcell. Gloria Purcell, congratulations to you. You just won yourself free drinks, compliments the Caribbean for 1 entire year.
Mrs. Gloria Purcell, the first winner of Hubbard's Live Free for 1 year promotion, collected a prize of free drinks for 1 year on Thursday at the Carib Brewery, Grandin St. George. She expressed how elated she was at the call from Hubbard's, informing her that she won.
When that gentleman called me this morning, I was like, he called me, how are you doing? I'm all right. And I'm calling from Hubbard's, so I was like, what Hubbard's is calling me for? I don't have dealings to do with Hubbard's. So he said, you're not answering? Why you not answering? I said, because I wonder why Hubbard's is calling me. I don't have no dealings to do with Hubbard. He said, you are a winner. I was so shocked, but I was very, very happy. I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't expecting to be no winner. So when I hear, and I'm the first winner, I was so delightful. Thank you very much. I will continue to shop at Food Fair. This is my place of choice. I really like shopping at Food Fair.
Hubbard's General Manager, Mr. Philbert Lewis, was on hand to congratulate the winner and to thank the promotion partners.
Now you realize that shopping at Hubbard's, it's a pleasure, and you are also a winner when you shop at Hubbard's. This gives you the opportunity to win even more prizes in our big promotion. This winning ticket can also allow you to win all the other prizes if you are that lucky. So on behalf of the company, let me congratulate you. First of all, to say thank you for shopping at Hubbard's and congratulate you for being the first winner.
Donnelly Blackman, marketing officer at Hubbard's, spoke about what more can be expected from this promotion.
The Live Free for 1 year promotion that you can definitely take away loads of prizes. We still have the free cooking gas, free fuel for your vehicle, extra cash communal account. We have Flow that is also contributing towards free internet, cable, and data. That's for 1 year. We have also the free groceries for 1 year. So all of these prizes, it is available for the taking as you continue to shop.
Cherry and Blackman Stephen, GBN News.
Stay with us. The weather and sports is up next.
We support you at every stage of your life.
For business.
For your education.
For your financial freedom.
For that new ride.
Upgrade your life with the Communal. Contact us today.
Hills and Valley Pharmacy offers both wholesale and retail pharmaceutical and over-the-counter products. We have the most competitive and affordable prices. We are the agents for Vit Plus multivitamin for healthy everyday lifestyle and Synatogen powder. Hills and Valley Pharmacy supplies the best quality, name brand clinical products such as Rescue Oil, Bio Oil, Neutrogena, Aveeno, and Clarisil. We offer the most convenient opening hours. Our telephone numbers are 435-6904 or 6903. Remember, at Hills and Valley Pharmacy, your health is our business. We care.
Now open Hills and Valley Medicare Center, your one-stop for medical supplies, massage therapy, physiotherapy, and an in-house physician. At Hills and Valley, your health is our business. Once upon a time, we shopped at Wonderland, and then Neverland. But we're all grown up now and no longer believe in fairy tales. So now we just shop at Shoes R Us. At Shoes R Us, we stock the latest in shoes, tops, and jeans for the fashion-conscious lady. We also carry colognes and much, much more. And for the modern trendy male, we have the latest brand-name shoes and sneakers, Converse, Reebok, Nike, K-Swiss, Puma, and much more. So check us out at our two convenient locations, Melville Street in St. George and Ben Jones Street in Granville. At Shoes R Us, we say, come shop with us.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements, or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 for 18-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Foliage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
Keeping an eye on the weather. This is GBN. We've got you covered.
This is the weather for tonight and the next 3 days. Tonight's minimum temperature 24.5 degrees Celsius. The weather will be mainly fair and windy, becoming partly cloudy by early morning with light to moderate showers. Winds east-northeasterly to easterly at 13 to 23 miles per hour. Seas moderate, waves 5 to 7 feet in open water. A small craft advisory is in effect. Tides low at 11 p.m., high at 5 a.m. On Saturday, sunrise at 5:44 a.m., sunset at 6:24 p.m. The weather will be partly cloudy and windy with brief light to moderate morning and nighttime showers, becoming fairer during the afternoon. On Sunday, sunrise at 5:44 a.m., sunset at 6:25 p.m. The weather will be partly cloudy and windy with brief light to moderate morning and nighttime showers. And on Monday, sunrise at 5:44 a.m., sunset at 6:25 p.m. The weather will be partly cloudy and windy with brief light daytime showers, becoming cloudy to overcast overnight with more frequent showers and a low chance of rain. Good evening, sporting fans. Cricket's West Indies has confirmed an action-packed schedule for the West Indies men, featuring 3 consecutive international home tours against South Africa, Australia and Pakistan from June to August 2021. The Test and the T20 International Series against South Africa, rescheduled from 2020, will start the international summer. The world-renowned tourism destinations of St. Lucia and Grenada will be the West Indies' host venues. South Africa will arrive in St. Lucia on June 1st and will play 2 test matches at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground, followed by 5 T20 internationals at the Grenada National Cricket Stadium from June 26th to July 3rd. This will be the first time that South Africa has played bilateral cricket in the West Indies since 2010. National sporting organizations need to place more emphasis on amateur and community-oriented sports. Chairman of the Grenada Tourism Authority, Barry Collymore, says sporting associations need to see themselves as primary in the preparation of elite individuals and teams.
They have to see themselves as creating a sport for all policy, which encourages sport and leisure throughout the country, which then has health and well-being benefits to the entire country. It's not just about preparing an 11-man team to go to travel. I think the sporting organizations are missing the mark, where they have to realize that their greatest legacy would be the propagation of sport throughout the entire country, creating linkages in communities and in semi-professional and amateur leagues and so on.
Collymore says the focus has been more on elite sports and constructing nice buildings, especially for the national sporting governing bodies, while forgetting about encouraging the healthy participation of citizens in sports.
You think that these sporting bodies think that identifying a youngster at 10 years old means that you have found the right athlete. That's not true. There are a lot of late bloomers that if you have created a culture of sport, like in some other parts of the world, you look at places like Australia, then you will find that you may pick up people even far more talented in their later years, in their later teens. But the first thing that governing bodies have got to get back to is making sure that people enjoy themselves with sport.
He adds that the essence of sport has been lost due to the financial opportunities and glory now involved.
I think think that, in a sense, we've lost our way in terms of how sport is administered. In some respects, we've lost our way in terms of what really is sport. Sport is meant for enjoyment. Yes, people can compete at the elite level, but most sport is not at the elite level. And I think that our national governing bodies of sport have got to focus more on the amateur and the community level and create a climate where villages and households and this is about our future and molding young people across the Caribbean. And sport is a great sport and leisure. It's a great way of doing that.
Grenadian Jamura Alves has won a second medal at the 2021 Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championships at the National Stadium in Kingston, Jamaica. On Thursday, Jamura captured the bronze in the girls' javelin with 35.92 meters while contributing 6 points to St. Jago High School. The former Bishop College student athlete won the shot put on the opening day of the competition. That's it for sports. Our regional segment is up next. This is your One Caribbean hookup. Police are continuing investigations into a robbery at the First Caribbean International Bank in Barbados. Police Public Relations Officer Rodney Innes provided an update at the scene.
The assailant, or one of the assailants, someone entered the bank, approached a teller, and presented a note and demanded cash in specific denominations. The teller did actually restrain to and handed over a certain amount of cash. Okay, took the cash, placed it in the bag, casually walked out of the bank.
The culprit, who has been identified as a male individual, pulled off the robbery dressed as a woman.
It's said to be a male who was dressed in female clothing, a red dress, a straw hat, and he wore a mask on his face and a pair of sneakers. He's believed also to be wearing a grey long sleeve shirt underneath, and he's carrying a handbag. That's a description given to us. That's a great description that we would want to circulate. I mean, it's still very early in our investigations, but I'm sure that someone in such a busy area might have seen something.
Scores of Jamaicans came out in full black on Thursday to protest the alleged actions of Westmoreland Central Member of Parliament George Wright. The JLP representative is alleged to be the man caught on a viral video physically abusing a woman last month. Activists, politicians, and regular citizens took to the streets with placards calling for an end to gender-based violence and for new laws that protect victims of abuse. The protest was part of a larger campaign called WINA is Up, which is a joint action by the Institute of Gender and Development Studies and the Jamaica Council of Churches. Some 80 Jamaican groups and individuals have signed on to the campaign, calling for the resignation of Wright and a change in legislation. After food and gas prices have skyrocketed, many Guyanese have expressed that they have been feeling the squeeze financially. The hike in prices of basic commodities such as bread, cheese, egg, and milk is not sitting well with many consumers.
we are suffering here. We have nobody to turn to. It is COVID. You need to have all these goods in your house. The bread raised, the sugar raised, everything raised.
The prices and things are very expensive, and I think the government need to do a little grant for people because of the pandemic. I think we need to do a little grant so people could go and get some money, do some shopping, with grocery costs. Things are very hard.
But the vendors say they also feel the strain of the price increases.
As you can see the market, people in walking. I know if people ain't getting money, I used to come every day and sell mangoes and things. Now, one load taking you all week for finish selling.
We bad. Sales very down. People ain't getting spending power. People ain't getting money. Sometimes all day are packing up. It's 3-4 days selling one load.
Internationally, U.S. President Joe Biden says the East Coast fuel shortages will end in a few days as the country's largest fuel pipeline network is restarted. Colonial Pipeline was hit by a cyber attack last week, affecting supplies and causing panic buying. The firm reportedly paid hackers $5 million in untraceable Cyprus cryptocurrency as ransom. Details in this Al Jazeera report.
A major oil pipeline shut down and the government told people not to panic. It didn't work. Videos like these are all over social media, prompting a government agency to warn this is a really bad idea. The plastic will melt and bad things can happen. But all along the East Coast, people waited in long lines to get gas, and some stocked up in any container they could find. Again, bad idea. But the panic could soon be subsiding. The pipeline that was shut down after hackers infiltrated the computers of Colonial Pipeline has been restarted. There are reports that the company paid almost $5 million in ransom.
It continues to be the position of the federal government, the FBI, that it is not in the interests of the private sector for companies to pay ransom because it incentivizes these actions.
And President Joe Biden has signed an executive order demanding that everyone selling software to the federal government has to meet certain cybersecurity standards. But Biden says he can't make private companies do the same.
Private entities are in charge of their own cybersecurity, and we know what they need. They need greater private sector investment in cybersecurity. And that's why we launched a new public-private initiative in April.
Even with the oil flowing again, it will take days or weeks to refill the tanks. With half of all gas stations dry in Georgia, almost 70% in North Carolina, and almost 73% in Washington, D.C., as people continue to panic buy and more stations run dry, reinforcing the idea that there is something to worry about, regardless of what the government says is a very bad idea for a temporary problem. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.
That's it for our One Caribbean Hookup. I'm Trelona Charles. Thank you for joining us. Now to recap tonight's headlines. Hundreds charged on Friday as police make good on its promise to enforce COVID-19 regulations. St. Andrew man found hanging, identified as Judlin Cambridge. 16-year-old student charged for grievous harm, placed on $7,000 bail. Former Attorney General Jimmy Bristol confirms alignment with the Grenada movement, the soon-to-be newest political party in Grenada. Windsor Forest resident pleads for help as she fears losing her home due to land slippage. In our One Caribbean Hookup, a Barbadian man pulls off a bank robbery disguised as a woman. And in sports, West Indies to host South Africa, Australia and Pakistan in back-to-back visits, with Grenada hosting 5 T20 international matches. If you missed any part of this newscast, a repeat of it will be broadcast at 10 o'clock tonight. Continue to follow us online at www.gbn.gd or on GBN Television Facebook page and YouTube channel for these and other top stories. I'm Trelona Charles. That's the news. We'll see you again. Good night.
big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable, and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
How do you choose your toilet paper? Just because it's soft and nice. That's how I choose my toilet paper. Made right here in the Isle of Spice. Cherish space off Harbor Bay. Super value every day. The price is right and locally they're made. Support local when you purchase Cherish and other quality brands from Grenada Paper Products.
A whole new level of convenience and comfort awaits you when you shop at Rise and Shine Supermarket and Hardware Supplies, Griffin Lane, Grenville. Convenient, because we are open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday to Sunday. We're even at your service on public holidays. Comfort, because we are easily accessible to the physically challenged. Free Wi-Fi is available while you shop, and bags come at no charge. Everyday low prices and excellent customer care. Adequate parking available. We supply everything you can possibly think of. Family and home supplies, fresh meat, vegetables, and personal care products. All brands of cooking gas at affordable prices. Plumbing fixtures, cutting and grinding discs, PVC glue, drywall screws, and power saw blades. You can send in your order, have it pulled, or pick up express.
We support you at every stage of your life.
For business.
For your education.
For your financial freedom.
For that new ride.
Upgrade your life with the Communal. Contact us today.
Raise it high up the ladder. Let we set it on fire. A little more calypso. Forget the funk and the disco. A little more limbo. A little more Shango. Find the greasy pole. And we don't dance from the maple.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Friday evening edition of We Culture. Of course, that's the usual our Friday evening program. We welcome everyone, our viewers of GBN Television 711, K105 FM, and also the viewers on our Facebook and YouTube channel. Now, folks, we've been experiencing a little difficulty with our Facebook channel earlier, but we should have it up and running pretty soon. So we welcome everyone. Hopefully we should be joined by Risi pretty soon. So let me welcome the team. Guys, good evening. Skulls, how are you going?
I do them. I'm jamming.
You're jamming.
I'm jamming like Bobot.
You're jamming like Bobot. All right.
I got it to Tangla, bouncing low.
You're bouncing low, man. You're bouncing low. Doc, how things, man?
Can't really complain.
we've been getting good weather.
Yes, indeed.
Good weather. Are they with a so as the old people say,
poke.
And I see we have an important man with us, so that is really nice.
Well, definitely. Mr. Marshall, good evening. How you doing? Mr. Marshall, you need to unmute your microphone. Your microphone is muted. Right.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay, I'm glad to be with you.
All right,
Livingstone and the scholar tonight.
All right. Let me tell you what I want you to do for me. You need to just angle yourself a little to your left. Right, that's good. Lovely. Wonderful. Great. So we welcome you back. You've been on the program with us before, and we are very pleased to have you back this evening, considering that we're discussing a very, very, very important matter tonight. And the thing about it is, we always talk about our culture and how our culture changes over time. We lose some aspects of it, and we adopt new cultures as time go on. And this evening, one of the things we want to talk about is our school system, coming from our Mother's Day program last Friday, and looking at the relationship, with mothers and children and the school and all of that. We cited some very important things that definitely has affected the way children, parents, and all of that, react nowadays. And a significant part of it is the school system. And of course, Mr. Marshall, you have been an educator for many years, at all levels, at the school level, at the policy level in the ministry, and so on and so forth. And we thought it would be a good thing to have you on tonight as we look back at how things were. Scholar was saying to me this week that nowadays, if a dog pass and he passed too near the school gate, they had to write the ministry and tell them that. These things never happened before. So guys, we're ready for a wonderful discussion this evening, and we are going to go back, and then we are going to come forward and look at how the thing has changed over the years. So, Mr. Marshall, at a time when you weren't a principal, you were a headmaster. That's what we knew then. Things were different. Things were much different. Give us a little perspective on how it was then, in terms of managing your school, getting things going and ensuring that the children were disciplined and they did what they were supposed to do, and also the relationship at the time with parents and the school.
Well, the first thing I must say, are you seeing me?
Very well.
Mm-hmm. The first thing I must say is this. Public schools were established, as far as I learned, principally because of the advent of the Industrial Revolution. When people would have left the countryside and go to the cities to work in factories, and then came the influx of the nuclear family. But who would look after the children when the parents go to church to work? Then came the rise of public schools. So public schools were originally intended to look after children when the parents go to work. Now, I would have been in the education system for 43 years. In those days, I am not saying that students did not misbehave. Students misbehave. But there is something very significant. When I was a student at school, and even when I began to teach in the year 1961, teachers were looked upon as significant others. The principal was looked upon in the village or in the community as the font of knowledge and understanding. And lots of people would go to the principals to get the documents done and to get advice. And teachers were seen to be fairly brilliant. But I must hasten to say, teachers in those days many of them didn't have the kind of high certification that teachers today have. As a matter of fact, it must be remembered, there was a classification of teachers, beginning with a pupil teacher. You may only have a school leaving, or maybe one subject at the GCE level, and you're a pupil teacher. So after school, you have to take lessons from the principal and others until you pass your third year. But if you have 2 O levels, you become a student teacher. If you have 3 or more O levels without English, you are probationer. But if you have English with 4 O levels, you become a sort 2 teacher and more. If you reach the point where you would have passed higher school certificate, that's what preceded the GCE advanced level. If you would have passed higher school certificate, you would have been a certificated 1 teacher. As a matter of fact, when I was a sort 2 teacher, I had to do an exam known as school management exam. And after I passed my school management exam in about July of 1962, I was promoted in 1963 to sort 1. I remember getting a nice piece of back pay in January 63, and I bought a brand new sophisticated camera in a place called Wadi Lima in St. George's. Few people would know about that now. But the teachers were looked upon as the font of knowledge. People at that time were more docile. In fact, if a child is misbehaving anyway and they see the teacher, my God, the misbehavior stops instantly. And sometimes the news of the child's misbehavior might come straight to the school the next morning. And principal and teachers, they have a right to discipline the child. Parents hardly intervene in defense of their children because they accepted the discipline of the school.
Wonderful. And this is really good. Mr. Marshall, just before you go on, I want to bring in Scholar here, because Scholar, you were in school at a time when Mr. Marshall was a teacher or principal. What was the relationship then between children and teachers? As it relates to one, children having respect for teachers, discipline, and all of that. Or principal, what was the relationship then between children and teachers? As it relates to one, children having respect for teachers, discipline, and all of that. Or principal, what was the relationship then? What was the relationship? Something we having a little issue here. As it relates to one, children having respect for teachers, discipline, and all of that. Or principal, what was the relationship then? What was the relationship? Something we having a little issue here. As it relates to one, children having respect for teachers, discipline, and all of that. Or principal, what was the relationship then? What was the relationship? Something Scott, are you hearing me? Are you hearing me now? Is that? I'm not sure what happened there.
I'm hearing you now.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, there's no relationship then.
Right. Yeah. So I was asking you about the experience as a local fella.
Yeah. Well. Let me just say off the bat that Mr. Marshall may not even remember it, but Mr. Marshall was my principal. My last principal in primary school was that gentleman you see right there. So I have known and has been influenced by his teaching for a very long time. Mr. Marshall, you would have become principal in Shandimel RC in 1981. So you were my principal then. I left there then and went to McDonald College. Then I passed the scholarship. So you were my principal then. But what Mr. Marshall said is that's how you remember it. The headmaster, because there was no principal at that time, we didn't call him principal, the headmaster, right? And the headmaster, what we actually was I mean, you did, the only thing you did not do was genuflect, to the headmaster. The headmaster was Lord Almighty. And the teachers, just as Mr. Marshall said, the teachers had a certain kind of stature and aura about them that they could discipline you. As a matter of fact, teacher would not have had any cause to discipline you, even outside of the school, because the minute time you see a teacher, you know you're keeping your backside flat. I mean, you have to put yourself in shape, you know. So teachers were really revered during those times, and the headmaster, and especially if the headmaster came from far, like Mr. Marshall did. And before him, we had Mr. Monroe. Before him, these people came from outside. And when a principal come out from outside the village, I mean, enough respect, you'll threaten when the principal beat you, say, but you take not the air and thing in tire and thing. But that is just words, you don't do that, you know. So that was how the principal and the teachers were saying. And Mr. Marshall is right. I mean, when the principal teacher give you some strokes, you did not dare go to tell your parents no. Because your parents accepted that the teacher and the principal knew exactly what they were doing. And when you got stroke, it was because you deserved strokes, you know, even though you didn't deserve it sometimes. But they took it, this was how it was perceived. And so there was great respect for teachers, great respect for especially the headmaster during those times.
Right, wonderful. Before we go to Doc, of course, Reese has joined us. Reese, welcome. It's always worrying when we don't see you, but no, we're all smiles.
Yeah, well, I have some challenges that I'm dealing with, and it seems like the internet is trying to add to it as well.
We'll get over that. That's
yeah.
all right. That's all right. Yeah. That's all right. Definitely. So, Reese, I'm coming back to you. I want to leave you for last because, you know, you may have had a slightly different experience from us. So I want to go to Doc now. Now, Doc, I don't remember if were you in Tivoli School when Mr. Vivek was principal?
No.
Oh, you remember that?
Because I had mistress.
Yeah, that was Miss John.
Yes, Razaman.
Yeah.
John.
I remembered Mr. Vivek. As a man, he didn't stay long actually, but he was a principal then, and then very soon they had opened that they had a new school in Hermitage, because you remember Hermitage children used to come to Tivoli, and then Mr. Vivek left. But as far back as you can remember, the relationship then with as a young fella and principal and teachers, because I do recall we had some teachers in Tivoli that was serious teachers. Let's talk a bit about that.
Well, there are several things. First, it's really nice to see you. Looking shining, of course. That is pleasant. And Mr. Marshall, welcome to the program. Mr. Marshall started up on a tone, I think, and Scholar continue in terms of the almost hero-like or godlike figure of the teacher, and I think that went across the board. But just going back into the experience I had as a young boy, I remember that there were some, as Mr. Marshall said, there were always one or two students that misbehaved. But we had a nice balance of male and female teachers. And in Tivoli, we were lucky to have a very serious headmistress called Miss Razaman John Josie. I mean, she was extremely serious in that she explored every aspect of development, including the culture, choir, all different aspects were brought into the schools. But I must say that the teachers at that time, they form what I would call the second tier parenting. In some instances, first tier. I mean, the teacher, apart from being like this godlike figure or hero-like figure in schools, they were like that like the tour guide towards the world, the material world. They're the ones that open the minds of children. But they were the ones that the teachers were the ones that actually were the tour guide to your own adulthood, or to your own teenage. They imparted knowledge and character that we all had to almost genuflect to, and we held them in very high esteem. I remember we had persons like Mr. I think it was Everton Mark and Ferguson and Kachi and a few of those teachers and the male teachers. I mean, and they used to go all over in the bush and hunt down some of the wayward guys on them and actually bring them. I remember Mr. Mark used to have a couple guys even at his home, bringing those guys and them back to, I don't know if you want to say, kind of bringing them back to some form of normalcy. But, so the teachers then were, as I said, first tier or second tier parents. They usurped the role, of the parents and the community gave them all the support they need in helping to discipline the children, because the community implicitly trusted the principals and the teachers with imparting knowledge and imparting morality, cleanliness, sanitization, everything into the children. So the teachers were held in very, very high esteem, and nobody wanted to ostracize their child, because I think the knowledge then was that the teacher knew best. So I just concurring with what both Mr. Marshall and Scholar was saying. The teacher knew best, and that right of the parent to individually or solely discipline the children was not part of the culture of the various communities throughout Grenada in that time.
Right, indeed. I mean, and of course, there is nothing for me to say. I mean, you guys have said it all. The experiences have been quite similar. But we're almost time to go to the break, so I'm not going to go to Reese yet, because I know that will probably take us past there. So we are going to go to our break now. When we come back, we're going to kind of fast forward a bit, go to Reese, and then backtrack again. So stay with us, folks. We're going to take our first break, and we'll be back with you in just a moment.
Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire. A little more calypso, forget the funk and the disco. A little more limbo, a little more shango. Find the greasy pole, and we don't dance from the maple.
Message by the Grenada Distillers Limited. You want a hand sanitizer to do 3 things: kill germs, be gentle, and to go where you go. You can get all of that in our hand sanitizer. Hard on germs, gentle on hands, affordable. Remember, hand sanitizers contain alcohol. Keep away from heat and flames and avoid contact with eyes. Available at retailers island-wide.
A message by the Grenada Distillers Limited.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable, and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Hills and Valley Pharmacy offers both wholesale and retail pharmaceutical and over-the-counter products. We have the most competitive and affordable prices. We are the agents for Vic Plus multivitamin for healthy everyday lifestyle and Sanatogen powder. Hills and Valley Pharmacy supplies the best quality, name brand clinical products such as Rescue Oil, Bio Oil, Neutrogena, Aveeno, and Clarisil. We offer the most convenient opening hours. Our telephone numbers are 435-6904 or 6903. Remember, at Hills and Valley Pharmacy, your health is our business. We care.
Now open, Hills & Valley Medicare Center, your one-stop for medical supplies, massage therapy, physiotherapy, and an in-house physician. At Hills & Valley, your health is our business.
5 things you need to know about self-isolation. Stay home. If you are told to self-isolate, it means staying at home, not going to work, school, or other public places, and you should not have any visitors. Separate yourself. If you live with others, then you need to stay in a well-ventilated bedroom with the door shut. If you have to share a bathroom, then use it after everyone else. Don't share towels and toiletries, as this may put others at risk. Call ahead. If you develop symptoms such as a fever or cough, then seek advice first by calling the Ministry of Health's hotline at 538-4787 or 458-4787. Please do not show up at a medical center or hospital, as this may put others at risk. Take care with waste. If you test positive, your waste should be double bagged and disposed of separately. Create a buddy system. If you live on your own, you can plan with friends and family to check in with each other and run essential errands if one becomes sick. Once sick, they should leave groceries on the doorstep. Why it's important. COVID-19 causes a mild illness for 4 out of 5 persons. Self-isolating will help protect the older generation and those who may have underlying health problems from getting infected.
Get high making money moves with the NLA's new Aces High Scratch game with 4 chances to win. Beat the dealer's card to win the prize shown. Reveal an A symbol. And just like that, you are automatically a winner. Scratch away to win the top prize of $10,000. Win easy with Scratch. Must be 18 or older to play.
Hello everyone, this is the National Lotteries Authority's Daily Pick 3 Evening Draw. It is Friday, May 14th, 2021. I'm your draw hostess, Leslie Ann Johnson. Supervising the draw, Ms. Makiba Bain, representing PKF accountants and business advisors. Quick reminder, there are 4 different bet types in this particular game from which you can choose. They're called in line, mix, pair, and backup. It pays to play Daily Pick 3, so let's see if you are a lucky winner. Good luck to you. Okay, here we go. So check your tickets. Our first number for tonight. 6, the second number. 3, the final number. 6. So just to recap for your benefit, our first number is 6. That's followed by 3. The final is 6. Once again, that's 6, 3, and 6. If you are a lucky winner, congratulations to you. The Play With Draw comes up next. We'll see you soon.
Tick, tock, toe. I win.
Feel like a big kid again when you play NLA's new scratch game, Tic-Tac-Toe. It's instant cash on the go. Reveal 3 X's or 3 O's in the same row, column, or diagonally, and win the prizes shown, or as much as $5,000. Win easy with Scratch. Must be 18 or older to play. Tic-Tac-Toe, please.
Give me a tic-tac-toe, please.
Tic-Tac-Toe, please.
Hello once again. This is the National Lotteries Authority's Playway Evening Draw for today, Friday, May 14th, 2021. I'm your draw hostess, Leslie Ann Johnson. With me once again is Miss Makiba Bain. She's representing PKF Accountants and Business Advisors. In this game, you can bet from $1 up to $10, or you can bet in increments on any number or any dream symbol of your choice, and being with a chance to win 24 times the amount you bet. So that is $24 for every $1 that you spend. Value your dreams and win your way with Playway. So let's see if you are a lucky one tonight. Good luck to you. Here we go. So Playway number 4 tonight. That number is 20. Once again, our Playway number 4 tonight is 2020. That represents belly. If you are a lucky winner, congratulations to you. Stay with us. The Daily Cash 4 is up next. We'll see you soon.
Winning $25,000 and up to 6 times by scratching just 1 little ticket. Get your triple cash scratch tickets for a chance to live your best life. Win easy with Scratch. For just $3, match any of your numbers to any of the winning numbers and win the prize shown for that number. Reveal a money back symbol and win the prize instantly. Triple cash scratch in stores now. Must be 18 or older to play.
Cause I'm a winner. From the moment that I get up, I'm feeling right.
All right, so we're back with you. This is the National Lotteries Authority's Daily Cash 4 Evening Draw for today, Friday, May 14th, 2021. I'm your draw hostess, Leslie Ann Johnson. With me once again is Ms. Makiba Bain. She is representing PKF Accountants and Business Advisors. So in this game, you can choose any number from 0 to 9 in any of the 11 bet types offered. The tickets cost as little as $1 except backup. That costs $2. More plays, bigger prizes. Let's play Daily Cash 4. Good luck to you. Okay, here we go. Check your tickets. Our first number for tonight. That number is 6, the second number. 9, the third number. 0, the final number. 1. All right, so just to recap for your benefit, our first number is 6. That's followed by 9. The next number is 0. The final is 1. So once again, for your benefit, 6, 9, 0, and 1. Congratulations. If you are tonight's lucky winner, stay with us. The lotto draw comes up at 9 o'clock. We're playing for $46,000. We'll see you real soon.
Win more with the NLA's Daily Cash 4 every day, with more plays and bigger prizes to be won. It's a 4-digit game with all the bet types you already know and much, much more. From 0000 to 9999. Choose your 4 numbers and place your bet from 11 different bet types. Choose from inline, 4 different mixes, first 3, last 3, and 4 different backup options too. Best of all, it starts at just $1, except for backups, which starts at $2. Win as much as $5,000 with a $1 inline bet and as much as $6,200 in a $2 backup bet. Imagine $50,000 $1,000 for a winning $10 inline bet. There's definitely more to win with the Daily Cash 4. More plays, bigger prizes. Twice per day, Mondays to Saturdays. Must be 18 and over to participate. NLA, making your dreams come true while supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Raise it high up the ladder. Let we set it on fire. A little more calypso. Forget the funk.
Welcome back, everyone. It's We Culture, and this evening we're talking about the change in the school system, from years ago, to now. Before I engage Reese, with some of our experiences, Reese, can you just touch base with us on the Facebook and see who's with us?
Yeah, sure. We have... Let me just minimize this. Okay, so we have... Well, let me get back up again. I'm going to start from Jose. Everybody else was basically saying good night. Jose is saying, Reese, the headmaster on board, and you came late. Mr. Marshall was a very serious headmaster, beaten for late and detention. So he said, Reese Scholar did SAG Godfrey a Mother's Day song. Oh, he wants to know if Scholar did a Mother's Day song, and it was on top. Okay, I'm not quite... I'll get back to that. Deslin is saying good night to my Grenadian brothers and sisters. Grenada Sunshine is saying most of the teachers then did not attain secondary education, but they were proficient and did a great job. To those who are still around, thank you, and those who have transitioned, may their souls rest in peace. Jose is also saying that my headmaster at St. Patrick's Anglican School was Mr. Mark, aka Whitehead Mark. He was very strict. You couldn't even run in the school. He has a leather belt. He was leather belt happy, which it was said that he soak it in pee at night. And I remember he will close the school door and give you one. Hold on. Right, I give you one, and passed while everyone rushes to the door. He was too strict that lots of children from the outer villages had to leave school early because of him. I also remember a student stoned down his office because he felt abused them when he was benched. He felt abused when he was benched, and never came back to school. So that's what I'm seeing so far on social media.
Right. Let me just take. I have a couple here on the WhatsApp platform. Someone says, "Good night, Godfrey. While I believe that teachers of the 70s were the most serious as it relates to education, fit for life, I believe that some of them were outright high-handed. I am speaking as a teacher myself. When my headmaster would flog me after letting me know that he knew that I was sent by my teacher to do an errand, was early for school, that I did my homework and got all correct, and he knows that I cannot tell my mother anything." So, someone says, "Good night, everyone. Reese looks nice." Yes, indeed, she does. Someone says, I was a pupil teacher. A child was misbehaving. I got a little whip and gave the child 2 lashes on her feet. She came back next 2 days with an abscess on her forehead. Her grandmother said that it was as a result of the 2 lashes on her feet, so I must pay for the medication. Another teacher called the principal. He told her to get the medical certificate stating that I caused the abscess. I never saw the child or grandmother up to this day again. In those days, at that school, no parent could come and mess with any teacher. The principal was like a mother hen. So, alright, so that's it here for a little bit. So, Rissy, I know you listen to everybody, and their experiences. Let's talk a little bit about your experience.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get to hear much of what Mr. Marshall had said because I was trying to set up at the time. But, in keeping with the whole topic that we're discussing, My experience was one where at first I think I was afraid of school because school seemed to have had a lot to do with beating. I liked school because I liked academia and I did well, but there was that association with beating earlier up that when you're asked something, you're afraid to either speak or to put up your hand and get the answer wrong. Especially for things like tables and stuff like that. I remember when, I was in school, there were children who were considered notorious. They were the ones who behaved badly and they would be beaten. There was a principal by the name of Mr. Duncan in my early years, and then it moved to Miss Radix Thomas. And let me just say that I went to the St. John's Anglican School. And from there, I went to St. Rose Modern Secondary and then to Anglican High School. And yes, beating existed in all of those places. But some of the things that I really liked was that you felt like your teacher really cared for you. They were like your second parents. And in some cases, I would have witnessed them being like first parents to some children. Because when they came to school, they made sure they had a proper uniform on. They made sure that they had breakfast. When lunchtime, the children go to get their little money for break or whatever from the teachers. So you felt like they really cared for you. And as girls, you know how girls are brought up versus boys. You're taught about, your integrity and, your purity and all of that. And you find that the teachers played a role, especially the female teachers, in making sure that you stayed on the straight and narrow as opposed to, just going out there and in American terms being fast and all of that. So I really appreciated that. In terms of discipline, and that kind of tied in with the beating as well. You find that now when I look at my daughter in school, she's allowed to leave a bottle of water on her desk. Well, I can say that for the school that she was in before I transferred her. She's allowed to leave a bottle of water on her desk and drink throughout the day, which I think is really good because we talk to children about consuming X amount of water, but if we leave them to only have the water around break time and lunch time and after school, I don't think it's enough. Back then, the discipline was that break time was for break time. Lunchtime, you had your water and this thing, you have it during that time. And when you had to go to the bathroom, between pee breaks, then between break time, then you had to ask permission, hope that you get permission while you're there holding pee. I mean, I remember one of my brothers, he let's just say it like that, he messed himself. He asked the teacher for permission to use the toilet and she did not give him permission and he had a loose bowel. So mom had to go and get him dripping with everything coming down his leg and all of that, and I thought that the discipline there, while they might have meant well in terms of making sure our bowels and our bladder function in certain ways, I don't know if they were always very understanding or if they, maybe the mistrust was higher that children weren't allowed to go generally outside of the breaks. I found that the mentoring, like I said before, in terms of how I felt like they cared, the mentoring was there. Something that I'm hearing about now that it was a big deal for us, and it seems like our children are not experiencing it really, is the whole idea of going on field trips and, having classes outside of the classroom and these kinds of things. From what I gather, the ministry have to give permission for a field trip. As one principal said to me, is like, if they had to go down the road in town with a class, basically it's like you have to get permission for that. And I growing up, the only time you heard about a ministry really is if like there's a child in a particular circumstance, like for example, me going to school with dreads and the school's not accepting me at the time, then you had to go to ministry, you had to go to Governor General. There were so many people that you had to go to make sure that I was accepted in school. So outside, and you felt queer because it's like you're the center of attraction. You're not normal. You're abnormal. And I think that would have contributed to a bit of low self-esteem at the same time. So I never used to hear about a ministry before. The ministry was like the teachers were in charge of their classes. The principal was in charge of the school. Permissions were sought from principal and you did what you had to do. And so I really don't know. Like some things I can see the plus in it, and then some things I just think that our children are being robbed experiences, and teachers are probably not being able to pass on in the way that they would have learned within sessions where they can have experiential learning happening. I don't think the teachers are so equipped by way of permissions to just do and just go with based on what they're experiencing. Like, how is it that they just fit in and make sure that their children are learning as much as possible and grasping as much as possible? I don't think so. And I mean, there's one thing that I want to say before you continue, Godfrey. The up and out. That was a concept that I did not know of. There was what you call like junior special, where children who were considered a bit slower, they would go into that class and they would get specialized teaching and stuff like that. But when a child is slow, a teacher worked with that child. And those are the children that you would keep back and you would try to have lessons with and that sort of thing. But now it seems kind of like if parents, you are not taking note of how your child is performing, and if you don't have generally like old school type of teachers and thing, and I'm not blaming teachers here. I don't know whether it's a stimulus from who they're governed by or if it's just a different attitude towards things. But I find that back then teachers cared more about the children performing well without so much parental involvement. But now the parents play a very big role in terms of making sure that your child stay on the straight and narrow when it comes to going to school and all that. Okay. And I really don't know.
Wonderful. So, Mr. Marshall, I want to come back to you. And you heard, especially what Reese said as it relates to having to get permission for almost everything from the Ministry of Education. During your time, what kind of authority you had in terms of making decisions in the actual running of the school?
All right. I'll go back a little bit earlier and come into that period that you're asking about. Now, in the early 60s, most of the schools were what we call denominational. A vast number of Catholic schools, Anglican schools, and Presbyterian schools. And the church had a significant role in the selection of members of staff. In fact, religious education was compulsory, and the compulsory half hour, 11:30 to 12, in all denominational schools. And you may ask why I'm talking about that now, but I think it played a significant role in the disciplining of children. They were, to my mind, children then were closer to God. You start the day with praise. The middle of the day, you say the Angelus, and then grace before meals. And if you leave, if the school was near to the church, on Wednesdays, you go for about an hour to Mass. But the last half an hour in the morning, you would have religious instruction. And that was a very good thing. It helped to keep the children, to my mind, closer to God and in check with themselves. At the same time, the ministry couldn't just pick up and send a teacher on staff. No way. The Anglican Board of Management, the Catholic Central Board of Management, they play a key role in the selection of. In fact, in the very early days, a female teacher, unmarried, getting pregnant was almost unforgivable. Why? Because of the church influence. And lots of teachers were mainly church goers. And they communicated that church thing to the students. And that was harmonious for the society. Okay? Come the 70s, things began to change. The ministry began to exercise more and more and more influence in the schools. In fact, furniture was sometimes provided by the churches. Mm-hmm. They got assistance from overseas and they were responsible for this, that. But the ministry gradually took over and took over and took over and facing more and more of the expenses for running the school. You understand? In other words, it would be difficult for a Catholic school to be equipped with Seventh-day Adventist teachers or Anglican teachers. No. It has to be under extenuating circumstances that such things exist. You understand? So the church really played a role in the education of the children, in the primary school especially. And of course, you had in the secondary school, the Anglican high school, the St. Joseph's Convent, PVC. When I went to PVC in the early 50s, well, in late 50s, sorry, every once a month I had to go to confession in the cathedral. Sometimes I had to create sins in order to tell the priest, okay? Because you must confess something, even though it's something you don't do, okay? And I was seen as a very good boy, a very holy boy, and they wanted me to be a priest. But I think the influence of the church now on student upbringing and teacher behavior has dwindled quite a lot. The Ministry of Education has taken it almost all over. I'm not quite certain it's for the best. However, I must say, as far as I know when I was a student, and even when I became a teacher and moving onward, typical of teachers is the authoritarian style of leadership. You try to be nice, but teachers are generally authoritarian in their approach.
All right, wonderful. So Scrolls, coming back to you, and I'm making the wrong. So you heard Mr. Marshall again. One of the things he mentioned was, for example, you wouldn't see, let's say, for example, a Seventh-day Adventist teacher getting to teach in a Catholic school, or a Catholic teacher teaching in a Seventh-day Adventist school. And I know those things existed. I experienced that. But do you think that was a good thing then?
Godfrey, let me say this, that we have to understand what the powers of the denominational schools and the boards and so on in those days, and the powers that they had to make decisions, and the fact that the Ministry of Education was seen sort of like a fringe body. Right? As a matter of fact, as Rishi correctly pointed out, the concept Ministry of Education was sort of blurred. For us as children, I don't know, teachers might have known about it, but for us as children, we didn't know nothing about Ministry of Education. We knew about the headmaster, and then you had some people coming. And so the church really was who controlled the schools. Now, the fact of the matter is that even up to now, the church still has some influence, even on who gets employed. The church has influence in that. As a matter of fact, the church still has a say. So while some things have changed, really, I believe that the churches have become more liberal. And on top of that, the ministry has exerted. The ministry has more control and more say of who teaches what and what not. And then, of course, we have conventions. We have conventions that have come up, you know, that ILO and so on, which would say that you cannot deprive somebody of an occupation or an employment because of the denomination or religion they choose to take. So all of these have come in. And you know, the ILO conventions are powerful tools. So somebody could cry out discrimination because they didn't get a job when they are fit for it because of some denominational thing, and you have a case there. So people have had to watch. So all of those things have crept up really to kind of make things different as to recruitment and so on of teachers. But really and truly, we've seen now, and the thing is that we've looked at the whole thing and we were looking at how it was in the past. And I would have expected that we were looking then at how things would have changed as we came up the line. And so we look from the past. And one of the things I believe, besides all of the religious things and so on, that had children disciplined, whether we like it or not, was the big stick, the rod. I mean, principals and teachers and so on were wielders of the rod. I think Doc mentioned it last week, and this in itself kept children in line. I mean, some of it, and one of the contributors to Facebook would have said that, you know, the principal beat her and she was doing good and so on and so forth. It happens sometimes. I mean, there was sometimes you get licks when you deserve licks based on our conceptualization in those days, and sometimes you didn't deserve. Let me give you a story fast before we go. When Mr. Marshall was my principal in Chanticleer School, right, I was in common entrance class. It was around sometime when we used to have traditional carnival, around that February, March kind of time. And my father and them was all shot me fellas, and I was a little shot me for myself, so I had my little band. And we used to go and practice in the night, and they were tramping, come down and so on. Well, it so happened that there was a night, they felt a set a stone on the school. Honestly, it was not us. But the truth is that we were around there at that time, we were tramping. So a young lady said to Mr. Marshall that it was my band that were pelting, and me was the ringleader. Mr. Marshall called me. So my class, because I was right across the Mr. Rayburn class. And Mr. Rayburn class was right across from the where Mr. Marshall used to be. And Mr. Marshall called me, and Mr. Marshall told me what I do that part of Mr. Marshall is not me. And I get blows from there, and when I get me blows, I get sticks now. Because I ain't saying it's me. And Mr. Marshall put me outside there on a little house, put me cool out still. And come back. And when you come back, tell the truth. But Godfrey, I wish was me, because I would have got all the blows. It was not me. It was not me, so I can't tell him that. And Mr. Marshall had a slang he used to think. And he used to tell me, Jeremiah, blow the fire. Some kind of thing, but me, Marshall, go blow the fire. But I don't know what Jeremiah blew that fire before. So me to get all that set up. Jeremiah, blow the fire. I could never forget. Me, Marshall, go blow the fire. Look. And I can't say, and I can't go and tell my parents that Mr. Marshall did pay for me. And I had Mr. Marshall in my heart, honestly, for a lot of years until I started teaching. And then I sort of understood the thing, and I said, boy, look at that. Because the truth is that it was not Mr. Marshall, but the girl who gave the bad witness on us, you know, and so on. But it goes that day, and I never forget that blow.
Well, it's not too late to say sorry.
No, but it's interesting, and that's the thing, eh? That's the thing, and may I just fast forward a bit before I go to Doc, because I mean, you're a scholar with an experience, and I'm sure Mr. Marshall did it with the whole intent of ensuring that you're disciplined.
Yes.
But let's fast forward. If something like that were to happen now, you have jail in that.
Yeah, what was it?
You have jail in that. You have jail in that. So let's go to Doc. I mean, Doc.
Not only that, you know, Godfrey. Not only that. Before you go to Doc, not only that. Not only you have jail, but the parents, my parents, if it's no, the parents coming up for Mr. Marshall.
Yes.
And Mr. Marshall, you don't have to beat me. If Mr. Marshall just tell me something that I don't like, I go and tell my parents, and my parents coming up for Mr. Marshall right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad.
All right. So Doc, hold on. I realize it's just about time for us to take the break. So let's take our final break. When we come back, we'll talk with Doc about that transition, that change, and when and how and why it happened. So stay with us. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire. A little more calypso, forget the funk and the disco. A little more limbo, a little more shango. Find the greasy pole, and we don't dance round the maple.
With just $2, you can gift yourself with a chance to win the Lotto jackpot. Now, imagine winning the National Lotteries Authority jackpot of $46,000. Why pass upon this winning opportunity? Lotto, play and win a lot of money.
Good evening, viewers and listeners. This is the National Lotteries Authority's Lotto Draw number 3212 for today, Friday, May 14th, 2021. I'm your draw hostess, Leslie Ann Johnson. Supervising the draw is Miss Makiba Bain. She's representing PPF accountants and business advisors. So we're playing for $46,000 tonight. But of course, before we select our 5 winning numbers, we will select the free ticket letter. Okay, so our free ticket letter for tonight is K as in kite. Check to see if this matches the letter on your ticket. If it does, of course, you can claim your free ticket at your outlet of purchase. So we will now select tonight's 5 winning numbers for $46,000. Good luck to you. All right, here we go. So check your tickets. Our first number for tonight. That number is 19. The second number. 14, tonight's third number. 4, the fourth number. 30, and the fifth and final number. That number is 34. All right, so just to recap for your benefit, we'll start with the free ticket letter. That is K as in kite. And our 5 winning numbers for $46,000 are 1919, 1414, 404, 3030, and 3434. If you are a lucky winner tonight, congratulations to you. Continue supporting the National Lotteries Authority. Have a great night.
I'm a winner, you are winner, we are winners.
It's the big one. Grenada, imagine winning $25,000. $5,000 and up to 6 times by scratching just one later ticket. Get your triple cash scratch tickets for a chance to live your best life. Win easy with Scratch. For just $3, match any of your numbers to any of the winning numbers and win the prize shown for that number. Reveal a money back symbol and win the prize instantly. Triple cash scratch in stores now. Must be 18 or older to play.
Cause I'm a winner. From the moment that I get up, I'm feeling right.
We shall fight them on the beaches. We shall defend our islands and our oceans to rid our waterways of plastic and other marine litter. We shall fight in the mountains, the valleys, on the coastline. We shall never surrender until every home on every street in our cities, towns and villages in the OACS learn to reuse, reduce and recycle plastic and prevent the pollution of our beloved ocean. We shall fight marine litter together with our sports clubs, our churches, the private sector, our schools. Join the fight. We shall never surrender.
This message is brought to you by the OACS Commission with funding from the Government of Norway. Remlit, tackling ocean pollution from turf to surf.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to our Super 6 Draw presentation for today, Friday, May 14th, 2021. I am Deborah Hippolyte. Super 6 is a multi-jurisdictional game owned by Winlot Inc. and it's played within the islands of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, Grenada, and St. Lucia. Tonight's jackpot stands at $310,000. We'll now select your free ticket letter. Good luck. Your free ticket letter is O. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back with your winning numbers.
More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6 a bigger jackpot game.
Now you love Super 6 even more. With more money,
the jackpot galore.
Play more,
win more, have more fun.
With more
How do you choose your toilet paper? Just because it's soft and nice. That's how I choose my toilet paper. Made right here in the Isle of Spice. Cherish Springs off Harbor Bay. Super value every day. The price is right and locally they're made. Support local when you purchase Cherish and other quality brands from Grenada Paper Products.
Raise it high up the ladder. Let we set it on fire. A little more calypso, forget the funk and the disco. A little more limbo, a little more shango. Join the greasy pole, and we don't dance round the maple.
Welcome back. It's We Culture. And of course, just before the break, we were about to go to Doc. So let's bring in Doc now. Doc, over the years, we've seen how things have changed. And of course, listening to Mr. Marshall and Scholar and so on, with some of the experiences, we have seen how things have changed. Let's talk about probably when did that change begin? And your thoughts on probably what or who is responsible for that change over time of the whole school system?
Godfrey, I think that the school system was basically set up just after, I think Mr. Marshall mentioned, just after the Industrial Revolution, mainly to provide workers to service the factory, to service the big companies and them that were emerging at that time. So education became very standard, almost like how the machine were making standardized tools to create factories and armaments, etc. Just after the Second World War. I think that the level of education really expanded exponentially, mainly to service the factories and the companies that were emerging. Mm-hmm. But there comes a time when people started to want to hear their own identity, their own self being reflected. And people start looking, particularly in the Caribbean area, for other ways in order to express themselves. So I think that started to lead to a shift. But in Grenada in particular, I think one of the main shifts came just after the revolution, when the revolution started wanting to diminish the role of the church. Mm-hmm. And so they started to take some more control over employment. They started to cite discrimination, like one you had to do with, example, when Mr. Marshall mentioned about a woman being pregnant, the rise of the awareness by women that, usually it's a man that gets them pregnant, and the man is not expelled from the school, so why should you expel the woman because she is pregnant also? And they wanted to fight against the influence that the church was playing in hiring persons that were, and I think it's very clear to everybody that the revolution did not favor the influence that the church had on society, period. So I think that brought a major shift. But even just within that time, we still found that the principal and the teachers had a major role to play in fashioning on the kind of the level, particularly the physical experience that the children would get, like going on the bus trip, taking a tour when you're doing geography to go and explore in your neighbor land, the different type of soil type, the kind of, when you're looking for, you go to the rivers, example, to look at the different crayfish and fish when you want to classify. Or you just go out in the bush, you take a walk, a field trip on an estate close by to see animals or to see different plants and doing the classification. So there was still this hold. But for some reason, in recent time in particular, there just seemed to be this obsession with the Ministry of Education wanting to have that total hold and that total control over everything that happens in the life of the school. But if we were to go back to the teachers in the 60s and 70s, Mr. Marshall, you probably would be able to go back a little bit further than I can. But let's say 60s and 70s. The teachers, apart from being that bastion, that parent, that first tier or the second tier parent, the teachers had demonstrated some acts of kindness that I don't know if exists today, that still exists today. Example, giving the children brick, purchasing books when children are unable to purchase books, purchasing lunch, taking children to their homes on weekends, sometimes on afternoon. Also, or those teachers that live close by would carry some children that were not advantaged, children that didn't have those kind of wherewithal at the home, whose parents were unable to afford, and bring them in at the home and took them under the wing as a foster parent. Purchase clothing, buy a shoe, a slipper, a pig-nosed for one of the children. But also you find that when children have to go on trip, and Godfrey, when you're going on trip, you have your nice your container or your carrier
Yes.
And then you would have your rice and chicken. Well, it used to be real back and neck. But some children are unable to afford just that. And so a teacher would always chip in to help those, you know, so the parent accepted and appreciated those kind of things on them. But also, you know, and I think all of us would go back and know of children that come to school and they hair on comb, they cannot, they shut not even button properly, they don't have a toothbrush, they have not been brushing their teeth. And the teacher would be that person that start teaching the children about cleanliness and sanitization and those sort of things on them. Or if a child get wounded, a nail juke or something, would go to somebody in the community to get redress. So those acts of kindness, it echoed well to the community. So the community praised the teacher and saw the teacher as a notch above the rest for taking care of their very own, and show that in a lot of ways, a lot of gratitude. I mean, apart from, Carl, I don't think you could have climbed. You never look like someone. But apart from Godfrey, a child would go and bring the Dunsi's plum and the Dunsi's mango, or a guava for the teacher, or a parent maybe send a roast corn or a piece of cake or a pudding or a piece of blood pudding or something that parent had because they recognized the role the teacher played. So there was this correlation, this relationship between the school that was an extension of the community and a teacher that was another parent. And that teacher, not just a parent, but a teacher, was given the full 9 yards to discipline, to clean, to groom the child. And we saw that erosion, as I said, it became expedited after, because I think the revolution wanted to bring in that liberal sense. But I believe that some people went a little bit too far thereafter in trying to create an independence. And now we see a movement now where my child is my child. And I am responsible for doing everything for my child. So I must call my child here. And if Scholar is a teacher, one bit my child, and I must go in the school for Scholar, you know? And so that sense of community and the school and the teacher and the parent and that relationship that they had, it started deteriorating quickly thereafter. And I believe I mean, apart from adding about some liberal aspect, which is good, I believe we have gone a little bit too far in going in this level of individualism. And I must say, maybe taking up too much of the American way of life and totally abandoning the rod of correction, which sometimes, and I would like to speak on that a little bit later, but I think I've been speaking a lot, but the rod of correction, it had its role. Was it being abusive at some time? Of course. There were a lot of teachers that were very abusive. But I think by and large, people made the distinction between a teacher that meant well, a teacher that meant well, that made mistake. Scholar threw stone, he was there. He didn't throw the stone, but in honest opinion, it was believed by Mr. Marshall that Scholar was responsible. So it was the intention, and I think you judge people based on intention. The intention was to try to get the child on a straight and disciplined path. And you made a mistake every now and then. And children remember the teachers that meant well. But there were teachers that were abusive and weren't listening and were uncaring, and you hold them in your grasp for that. But by and large, you don't hold it against the teacher that meant well and every now and then made a mistake. So the fact that we throw that whole rod of correction, I'm not so sure if it aid in society.
But let me ask, and any one of guys you could take it. Yeah.
What? Godfrey, before you ask the question, let me just say to Livingston that because I'm a contemporary teacher, I live in Atumla, and this is why all this thing is very strange, the way that the whole relationship has broken down. Because everything that you have spoken about that has been happening with teacher and children and how teachers nurture and do all things for children happens today. In fact, I did it. And nobody never bring a Dudus mango for me. You have to tell you that. And I did it on even my greatest teachers virtually that mind children now.
Yeah.
Actually, when you bring it for sir or for miss, eh?
Yeah.
Not the teacher. It's sir or miss.
Sir or miss.
Yeah. But sir or miss. No, let me ask. Just before you think, Scholar, I was asking because Livingston mentioned that there were some teachers that were abusive, who went a little too far. Do you think that probably had a role to play? In the removal of the rod, or it was just maybe the whole issue of liberalization?
No, I don't think that had any issue to be, that caused the removal of the rod. The rod was removed because we start adhering to certain protocols, certain resolutions that was passed through the United Nations, and we start, our culture became subjugated because we had to emulate other person's culture. I think this was an influence that came from outside more than we saw the need. I believe all along, you see, a society cannot just radically change. I believe, yes, there was some abuse and it was being addressed gradually. We were changing and people were recognizing that. But also, I believe what really led to that direct, or that almost radical shift was the fact that we start, getting different curriculum, different ways of teaching, and etc. And we adopted a foreign policy too quickly, and at our detriment. One thing Scholar said, and I want to echo Scholar, what I was saying about the teachers of yesterday, Scholar, about the love and the caring and the fact that they are first year. When I say first year, I mean they are parents without, the teachers become a parent without, as the first parent, and they become second tier, meaning a parent that add to the original parent. So I am saying, yes, today it still happens. It is, it still happens, it still exists.
Right. No. I also believe that there's a little more to it, because the whole issue of rights and all of that came into play at a certain time, and more, because the removal of flogging. The thing is, abuse was never an issue, right? Maybe a teacher gave a child a little too much lash, but there wasn't the issue of abuse. When did that issue coming? Maybe between, I don't know, Skulls, let's bring in Risi. That whole issue of child abuse and all of that, when did that come into play?
I think when we started talking things about corporal punishment and all of that, when that phrase came in and we learned what it was, we had and you rightly say, we had people who had the foreign accents and all of that, coming, different ethnic backgrounds, coming and telling us about their different ways you can talk. It saw the advent of the counselors in school, but I believe that just as how a teacher could beat a little too much, sometimes as parents and second parents, we don't talk too much too, There's a lot of talking that has to happen with some of our children. I am not one for at home, I don't really beat, I talk a lot, but if there comes a time where the beating have to happen, it happening. Now I get a 2 lash week before that, she was shocked. She was shocked, And I had to make sure she went and spent the weekend with her grandmother. I had to make sure that she did not go and speak about it, because the grandmother that used to beat us, all of a sudden, like we discussed last week, she grandchild. So yeah, but I think with the advent of the whole, becoming aware of what corporal punishment is about. But even back then, when I heard about corporal punishment, I used to think more about the prisons and stuff like that. Not that it was, part of the school system, but then it wasn't in my time, but in my first daughter's time, you started having school counselors and that sort of thing. And I think, while I believe that it's a profession and it has its merits and it is a necessity, sometimes I wonder if we are not setting the stage for our children to be more fickle like, we come from tough parenting. We came from, like, it has to be so and it has to be so. And, tough learning, tough disciplining. But now it's about more like you have to consider the feelings of the child. And, I'm not against it, but sometimes I wonder if we don't bother on growing up children that are a little more fickle. And let me just confess to something. There was a time, yes?
As you say that, you're talking about Nala and the water. That is what I was thinking, because you don't have time to drink water in class and all this kind of thing. Yeah. But I mean, I really appreciated the whole water on the desk because it's a good thing that they drink. Water on desk. Yeah. But I have to confess, there was a time. There's this thing that used to be happening in there was some. Okay, it's a camp. It's a girls' camp. I don't recall the name right now, but it's a girls' camp that used to happen every summer. And I have this friend in Victoria who said to me, very close, she said, I would like to invite Aliyah to come on the camp because a lot of times you find very vulnerable children that are going on these camps and all of that. So she wanted Aliyah to go. And I was for it because while she might think that Aliyah is not vulnerable, I thought Aliyah need to be more between people who she should understand that she needs to show empathy towards and understanding different people and how is it that they may not have as much as and to learn to appreciate people. So the little girl had to fill up this form, and in the form she wrote something about I could not, because she did not want to go. I could understand why is it that children would want to commit suicide. And, when she submitted the form, the lady called me and she said, Reese, did you see what Aliyah wrote? And I'm like, no. So she sent it to me. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, so you understand why children don't want to commit suicide? I said, listen, I opened that door so fast. I said, listen, just let me know what method you want. Whether it's grandma's own, rope. I said, don't leave me out. Don't leave me out. Just let me know what method you prefer. I want to be part of it. She never tried that again. And I'm just thinking, maybe I was supposed to be the parent that start to cry and call the counselor because my child is thinking about committing suicide. And I saw myself going down this spiral of every time I try to get her to do something outside of what she wants to do, she's going to play the suicide card. And I just thought, you know what? And they put it in the bottle right there. She was shocked when I asked her what method she wanted. Never heard it after that. So that's just me. I might be a contemporary parent, but I have some very old school ways of dealing with things. No child pulling this thing and them on me. No pity party.
All right. Let's go to the telephone. Now we're gonna come to the Facebook again because the phone has been going for quite a while. We call you. Good evening. Hello.
Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, you need to turn the volume of your radio or TV down and listen to us on your telephone.
Yes. I have a few remarks to make as a result of school days. Mr. Franklin would have known, or would know, the person I'm speaking about, Mr. Sylvester. I could remember Mr. Sylvester put a sum on the board for we fifth standard children to do, and expecting us to get it right. However, he put the sum on the board wrong. We're supposed to put 9, he put 11. And he must have known the answer that the students are supposed to get in doing the sum. Everybody in that class got the sum wrong. He benched the whole class. The next day, Mr. Sylvester come to school and he apologized to the class for whipping them because he who said the sum wrong. And the other thing I observe in school, Mr. Marshall might have known this man, a young fellow used to call Kube in Waltum. He called her a teacher, they called Teacher John. In school, he hold him in his neck. He pulled the tie from that day. Teacher John never wear a tie again. It was cruelty to beat a child or any person in school for answering a question wrong or doing a sum and get it wrong. The teacher's duty is to teach. This is cruelty, that's slavery mentality. And in those days, people didn't know as much as taking people to court. It was real cruelty in those days to be whipping a child in school. I could see a child do something wrong. His behavior is wrong, he's rude. Or the teacher give him a little shaking up. But not for doing the sum or answering the question wrong. There's cruelty. A lot of children call school as a result of that. Thank you.
Godfrey, hello.
Yes.
Godfrey,
yes.
Let me say something. Now, the reduction in corporal punishment came about as a movement in education, where the child is seen as the center of the education process, child-centered education. And there came a time in America where they moved from the authoritarian style to the permissivism style in school. So children were given a greater level of freedom. And teachers were made to see punishment as being punitive, painful, and creating paralysis of thought in children when they are beaten for things that they don't know, because they don't even understand it. Okay? I know that some students, from the time the teacher enters the classroom with that strap, the child, you tell the child CAT cat 10 times, the child still saying TAC cat, because the child is concentrating on the strap. So that new thinking in education made it possible to reduce the punitive measures, hoping that the children would think more freely. But sparing the rod and spoiling the child was the philosophy in early education. And there is a theory called theory X and Y. Some people will go to heaven. Why? Because they love God. Others will still go to heaven because they're afraid of hell. So sometimes the fear of hell will make us do what is right. Okay? And you would not get any support for corporal punishment in schools. We have to think of alternative ways, because they see it as dehumanizing people, especially helpless children. In fact, I have seen teachers teach, and if I had to beat the teacher teaching, I beat not the students. I told a student that a teacher that in Carriacou, I said, listen, he was teaching a math lesson, and I was at the back of the class, Form 5. As he taught, and he was teaching wrong concepts. So at the back of the class, I said to him, I waved my finger to him, stop teaching, and come to the back of the class. And I said, what are you teaching there? Mr. Marshall, well, look, so. I said, look, this is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong. How would you de-teach, then reteach, because you're teaching the children the wrong things? I said, let me see your record of work, your planning. Mr. Marshall, I will have to home. I said, you live in Windward? He said, yes. I said, leave the school now and go to Windward and get into Brincom. And then I took the class, the Form 5 class in maths, for myself for half an hour, and the students' eyes and mouths were all opened, because I manipulated the content in such a way that whoever you are, you'll be able to understand. For instance, preparing food. A child may not like red food this way. If you like it one way, another child may like it a different way. But you prepare it in such a way in order that everyone should have their share. And a good teacher is the one who knows what to manipulate content so that every student can consume that content with greed.
All right, let's go back to the telephone. We culture, good evening. Hello. Good evening.
Good night, everybody.
What you doing?
I did it. Here now, as you talk about teaching, you know, majority of my children go in SAS. I will give you a joke about LL, my partner, could carry him. He ain't gonna sue me, because you know I don't have nothing. You have this train and my last boy when he go in his house. I don't know, break time he come out some way. He and some other fellas. And you have to ask the child, children, where are you come out from now? Bell ring, it was break time. So they go back in the class late. So when they reach back in the class, LL started the subject already. He asks them, you have to ask them where they come from, where they come out from this hour and they come in the class. LL asks them, guys, where you all from? My son answer. He says, sir, I from paradise. I don't know where the rest come from. LL telling me I have to bring his parents in the school. I said, I don't go to the school. LL asked you the question wrong. When I see LL, I said, boy, that's so you have to ask children questions. Ask them where they was. They come out, break time, bell ring. Where they come out, you ask them where they from. The child answer, sir, I from paradise. I don't know where the rest from. He tell the boy he had to go. I said, I don't go in the school for that because I go tell LL the same answer. Anyway, good night.
Good night. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, Susan. Thanks a lot. Scholar, let me put this one to you quickly. The now greater involvement of the ministry in the school system, do you think it has done justice or injustice, or do you think it has its place in today's education system?
You need to unmute.
Sorry. Let me say this way, Godfrey. Mr. Marshall has spoken about shifts and so on in education system. And so you would expect that the ministry would have some kind of control, right? But there is also merit in decentralization, as opposed to making things more centralized. As a matter of fact, the ministry sort of figured to itself that the school system had become too centralized. So it broke it up into districts. So you had different districts in order to decentralize things so districts could make decisions and so on. But in doing that, it did not become more decentralized. As a matter of fact, we see now what Livingston has been speaking about decentralization of the ministry and the ministry making most decisions. Now, let me say this, Godfrey. Now, if that be the case, I believe that, and you could think about it this way. Now, and this is how I believe the education system should function. Now, on the sixth day, God made man and he stopped. Because man, to me, was probably one of his greatest, one of the greatest things that he made. Yeah, I mean, he couldn't go anywhere else. So his creation, man, if you think about how man is structured, and God made man in that way, he made us with a kind of system that is centralized, but there is also a lot of decentralization taking place. So you have a brain, and the brain is responsible for the whole overseeing of everything that takes place in your body. But at the same time, the brain gives the power to the spinal cord and so on to do things. Because the brain understands that if we wait for certain things to reach the brain, we ain't going nowhere, we go dead. Things will move too slowly. So anything from the bottom go down. The spinal cord determines those things. Now the brain eventually will know what the spinal cord did, but everything cannot go to the brain, right? And then of course, when you think about the heart, I mean, imagine the heart had to beat and the brain had to say heart. You're dead already. So the guts, and this is how things have to be structured. You know, you have
that's a super analogy.
You have some level of centralization, but you must have decentralization. Otherwise, the system will be stagnant and things are not going to move as they ought to move. If you have everything that has to take place has to come from a central place.
Yes.
Godfrey, that teacher really know biology, boy.
Yeah. No, definitely so. But that's why he used to teach.
That teacher
that's why he used to teach.
He really explain himself.
But Godfrey,
the licks Mr. Marshall give him.
No, Godfrey, I want to also make the point. Based on what Mr. Marshall was saying, and the caller that spoke before about the leaks that they used to get and so on. And I might sound very controversial here, but my thing is that, Godfrey, you see, white folks have done a number on us, and we have not even realized it. White folks have done a number on us. So the reason why our school system was like that when Mr. Marshall and Mr. Beat and so on is because of slavery and how slavery treated us. That was the way that you had people to do things. According to Mr. Marshall, you do things because you're afraid hell. That was the way that they, so we adopted that. And that was our thing. Then the same white people come now and they start to make a movement that writing book. And we people go and study these things and come back with their philosophy and their movement with counselors and all these things, and told us we have to change. And to this day, we have never ever gotten an education system that is unique to us and that can work for us. We always moving to based on what the white people say. So right now, we have moved totally 360 from what the white people said then to what the white people say now.
Yes.
What are we saying? We ain't saying nothing. We just adapting things.
Yes.
And our scholars go and they read the books for the white people thing. I mean, Mr. Marshall could remember that. You have a white fella like Piaget and read what write a set of philosophy and so on. How little white children have to learn and the speed that they learn and what age they have to learn things. And we're taking that and adapting it here. Instead of looking to see how we could change what the men say to fit here, we're changing what we're doing to fit what the men say.
Yes. Scholar.
And that happens in not only our education system, but other aspects of our lives.
Every aspect of our life. Godfrey, Scholar couldn't say it better, and I'm really glad because I was making a point that, you see, we have to fashion a system that echoes our cultural orientation. But instead, and that is why I say corporal punishment is one thing now, but the sudden change is what is bad. Not just that corporal punishment may be good or bad, but the sudden change from one thing, without us growing and trying to come up with something that could fit into our own way of life. Then we're spinning top in mud. And just one point, the people that I find it most difficult to reach our trouble with are the counselors, because the counselors are not reaching our children to the culture, the Grenadian culture.
Because they were because they were taught Piaget. That's what they were taught. When you go, you do a degree in psychology, you learn about Piaget, you learn about who and all them kind of different fellas. Exactly. Let's go to our telephone. We culture. Good evening.
Yeah, good night, Godfrey, and good night.
Yes, good night, caller.
Yeah. All right. There's a few things I think we need to take care of. Let me say at the outset that I had a little experience in teaching. I was one of the first male preschool teacher. I left because of the awkwardness of the system. I left also because the curriculum I find was extremely colonial, and I had difficulty. In fact, I used to use a book that Joan Purcell had introduced me to from a woman in Trinidad, Sylvia Gonzalez. Starting Point, that was the name of the book. Anyway, but I want to, in terms of the conversation earlier, I want to say that for one, certain things would have influenced the overall change in the education system. First of all, the Black Power movement. In the Grenada environmental profile, there's one page that deals with the social aspect of Grenada. And it says that up until around 1970, most Grenadians were not proud of the shame of being black. So that would have had some impact on us. also, I agree that with Nelson that there was some ramification from the revolution, but there were some positive things during the revolution. For instance, the community schooling program, which as a journalist at that time I had covered. There's also the community school there and INSTEP. The idea was very revolutionary, and I think, unfortunately, it was not continued after the demise of the revolution, but it was a good effort. The other thing about the system is that the role of beating. I left the school because I was beaten one time for not remembering something. Right after spending most of my time in one school, and then, after my mother's death, I ended up with some relative, and I was going to this new school. And I was all of a sudden beaten because I couldn't remember something. Although the guy turned out to be mentally sick, he died eventually. So the regime of licks did a lot of injury to people. Up to now, it have affected people. And finally, because I know I can't stay for long, the whole thing about we have never, and I agree with the Nelson Noble scholar in terms of the thing that the folks, the colonials have done on us. And what we have done over the years is mimic in every sense of it. Up to now, we still don't have a sense of self, because we still want a white priest, we still want everything that is from the outside. We still import our religious leaders, unfortunately. But in everything, as with everything, there's some good and there's some bad. What is missing right now is the love, the passion for the profession, and of course the class of the change class, in the competition of class are also affected. When I say class, I mean social class. I mean, there's so many things, but I think the conversation tonight is very interesting and it should be continued. Thanks.
Thank you very much, scholar. Thank you very much. Let's go to Facebook, Risi, and take some comments there.
Yes, so we have Beverly Augustine saying good night, watching from Palmis Heights, cousin Godfrey, good night. Jose Scholar, you remember Mr. Duncan in McDonald College? You couldn't talk to a girl after school. He will draw a circle around you and marked no coating. Zavik says, hello, good night, we culture. Got some innocent licks in school. Just imagine some students disturb Pastor Wiggins' crusade in Tantine. Next day, the principal just called all who live in the area and shed blows in front of the entire school. That was the first time I stood up for my rights, because I refused to take any lash for something I did not do. I was sent home to get my mother. Giddy Cox is saying, remember there was a teachers training college in Tantine where the teachers will be trained, so they had no choice but to do a great job. Is that still there, or is it gone too? It is still there. Cynthia B saying, getting that permission is for your protection. If something were to happen on that trip, you as a teacher would be protected against a suing because the parent or guardian signed that consent form. Glenda is saying, Grenada Sunshine is saying, oh yes, remember those days? Alex Simon, I can recall sometime we had to go to the Catholic Church for Station of the Cross. Cynthia is saying, oh, we are not going to get an apology from Mr. Marshall tonight. I guess that is to do with beating Scholar. David Seals, another time I got some good lash for sweating coming to school, and the back of my school shirt being wet. Jose is saying, I'm happy that I'm getting to watch you guy in my living room on TV, so wave and say hi. Okay. Madonna Harford is saying, Mr. Marshall, nice to see you. Did you ever experience some headmasters using the strap, not only on students, but also on very young teachers? Well. Mr. Marshall, you'll answer just now. Giddy Cox is saying, Doctor, you're on point. The kids now have no respect for their parents, and teachers need to come back. Jose is saying, I think children in the St. Patrick's area went through a lot because they had to walk from Mountrich, Snell Hall, Rose Hill, and Plains to come to school. And after that long walk, they all tired, and sometimes rain take them on the way, but they will walk with their wet clothes, and you won't believe that some of them was the brightest in class. On the other hand, we didn't have computers and tablets. You had to read books for everything. And math, you had to learn to solve problems. Giddy's also say, I was always a rebellious child, got lots of blows from both teachers and parents, and hold no grudges because they shaped my life, and I'm very grateful today. Jennifer is saying there are schools which raise funds and seek help from businesses, community persons, and well-off past students to assist students with food supplies, bus fare, and payment for CXC, etc. Anne is saying, yes, teachers still go the extra mile today, purchasing items for students, providing break, lunch, and bus money for students, and not looking for anything in return. Giddy is saying, bring back the whipping, respect will follow. Jose is saying the abuse was teacher beating you with their hand on your back, making you make a feast, and bit you with the side of the ruler on your nucleus, on your knuckles. Also, pinches on your shoulder, the biting of belt on your back. Then we have Mary saying good night, everyone locked in from Montreal, Canada. Let's see. Jennifer is saying this happens in my children's school, St. Joseph's Convent, St. Rose, Monjalou, RC, and I'm sure many other teachers do. Okay. Let's see again. Jose is saying great, rushes home to watch the program, laughing out loud. Jennifer Chateau is saying Mr. Sylvester must have been having heavy breakfast. It sure must be hard work beating a whole class. Jose is saying Mr. Marshall needs to adjust his camera, only seeing half of his head. Hannah Plenty, Mr. Marshall getting like Mr. Ashby Dewey. Okay, let's see again. We have quite a bit of comments. Jose said Mr. Marshall camera needs adjustment. We've done that. Okay. Hannah, everything handed down to us, unable to make firm decisions that fit our society. I guess she was agreeing with Doc and Scholar. Jose, I think that was one of the things the revolution wanted to change. Jennifer said no corporal punishment for children, but lethal injection and electric chair for adults who break the law. And then we had, she's asking, does this make sense? Let me just get to this one. Jose is saying the education structure was one of the things, central part of the revolution to change from the colonial way of doing things. Okay. Marilyn is saying good night, everyone. Going back to street school, we get a lot of whipping, but it didn't kill me. So those are the comments on social media.
All right. Let's see if we can stick a final call. If not, we'd have to wrap for this evening because we're practically out of time. Let's take a final call. We Culture, good evening.
Yep.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening, caller.
I thought I was getting We Culture, sorry.
Yes, that's We Culture. You need to turn the volume of your radio down, sir, and listen to us on your telephone.
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, We Culture. I'm impressed. I'm impressed by the level of discussion you all went through. And most of you have certain quantities of right in what you're saying, or correctness in what you're saying. Because, you see, for nearly 5 centuries, we, especially as black people, were brainwashed into believing that the whites seem to know everything. And even today, somebody challenged me and asked me, is according to who you listen to. And when I check on the books and everything, the 1840 Education Code for the colonies was to just keep you in line to train a cadre of administrators to continue the colonial way of life. So, I mean, the subject is not a simple subject. It's one where we have to examine carefully and make the changes gradually. Because I thought for a long time, and I could tell you, well, at times, sometimes when you administer punishment, when you think about yourself, you say, oh, church, man, I was a kind of rough, you know what I mean? You tell yourself that. But then there are occasions when you have to be above the average. Certain children would not change or understand behavior in the class except they're being punished, and corporal punishment like that. But you're not supposed to be aggressive and overburdening and stuff like that. However, I think you all have it on the head, and we need to continue that conversation. And I think in time we'll learn to make our changes gradually and put the right structures in place. And just before I go, I could tell you that the school, however, the education system has not been training people to go to work. In days gone by, we were trained to go to work. So what you learn, transfer it into productive activity. But within the last couple decades, what we discover is the education system aims at getting certification. And since certification meant that you're supposed to function in a certain space or a certain format, 68% of the people who go into examinations and so on, 68% become successful. And that was I'm not sure if that statistic still reigns. And 32% couldn't make it. What do you do with the 32%? And you could hardly absorb the whole 68% in white-collar jobs. So it's not a simple exercise. We need to go over it gradually and try to make the necessary inputs, and the right people will listen, and perhaps, by the grace of God, we'll succeed in the long run. I'm not supposed to believe in doom.
Godfrey. Thank you very much indeed, caller. Thank you very much indeed. Well, guys, we out of time. So we see any new comments on Facebook that we need to take before we wrap?
No, I'm not seeing anything else.
Okay, wonderful. So we're gonna take some closing comments. Mr. Marshall, we're gonna start with you. Anything you want to say in closing as we finish looking at this whole issue of the transformation?
One thing is outstanding. Culture is the totality of life of any given society, and characteristic of culture is what we call dynamism. Culture changes. And because culture is the way of life of the society, as culture changes, the various dimensions of life within that society will also change. And we must bear this in mind. Nothing remains the same culturally. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Doc?
Yeah, I was smiling. Looking at the way forward, and Mr. Marshall was making a point there, and I was just trying to take in exactly what he was saying as it relates to culture. But I believe our education system need to address and to speak to our Grenadian people from a Grenadian cultural aspect. The way of the world is not necessarily our culture. We understand the world through the eyes or the prism, first from our viewpoint. So I believe it is important for the Grenadian child to know about what represent the patrimony of Grenada, what represent the various industries in Grenada, what represent the landscape, and how do we fit in the region, and then how we fit in the grand scheme of things. And I believe if we empower our children in that way, then learning and education would be a much more interesting thing in the long run. I mean, I think in the past we have been made to feel that our education depends on how we can fit into the colonial system, how we must work to fulfill the jobs in the machine in the factory, how we must repatriate our brains to bigger world. But I think we have to start looking in to see how we can help Grenada, how we can forge the region together, and then we could think about the wider segment of the world. As a child growing up, all the images in my book were that of white children. Today, we have seen a new change. All the images, a lot of the images we see in the churches are still white. As long as we don't address those phenomena, we are not going to empower ourselves mentally and psychologically to build the industry, to build the kind of Grenada that would really service us in the long run. I think that is what I need to say.
Thank you, Doc. Risi?
Okay, just before I give closing comments, I just want to read some Facebook comments here. Cynthia said, thanks as always, very informative, and show brings back memories. Have a good night. Maria is saying, good topic, good night. Giddy, I am in the central USA and really enjoy this program. Please, I think you want to say repeat it. Yes, Hannah is saying, great program tonight. Blessed night, everyone. Blessed weekend. Jose is saying, I think we need to talk about the curriculum and how it changes. And great program, guys, as usual. Now, when it comes to my closing remarks, we talk a lot about the whole centralization versus decentralization. And I really hope that, going forward, that we can look back and see where is it that we had our merits and where is it that really just all this adaptation didn't work for us. And one of them, it has to do with the experiential learning. I speak to children every day, and some of them don't even know the streets of St. George's, where they're from. Some of them have never been in a parish outside of to really talk about, to say they know this place, or you find more children for what we call country, knowing parts in town, as opposed to children from St. George's proper, knowing other parts of Grenada. And so I think that we really need to bring this back. This is one place where I think we have erred in terms of the restrictions that have been placed on it. And we really need to bring this back. And I'm hoping that, we can see this coming forward, among many other things. I guess we have not finished with this topic tonight.
Definitely not. Skulls.
I agree. There's one I agree. It just feels unfinished. It feels like there's so much more, that needs to be said. You see, I can tell you this, that the children from St. George's, they conceive that the country far.
Yeah.
They always say that the country far, as though the distance from town to Sotel longer than the distance from Sotel to town.
Yeah.
Longer distance.
Sure.
That's how it is. But Godfrey, I think we have a lot more to discuss.
Definitely.
We have just touched the tip of the iceberg as far as this is. And I'm really looking forward probably to next week, or when we could continue, whenever we can continue this. Because so much has happened, and Mr. Marshall has said that culture is dynamic. Mm-hmm. And of course it is. And things will change, and it has changed. I mean, we remember, at times, tables, and how we are strict on tables and mental arithmetic. And when they tell you 8 2, 16, 2 8, and sometimes you get a 2 yourself to say a 16, mentally. Brain had to work in a right don't think. And I can tell you straight out, my son, for example, who has CXC math at the highest level, he went through school and never knew the tables. Never knew the tables, but he was able to function. Because indeed and in fact, he was never drilled in those things. And for a fact that from sense standard 2 going up, I mean, tables was something you had to know as the back of your hand. You had to move forward and backwards and so on. All of those things culturally seems to have gone out now. I don't know if them exercise book and them have tables behind it.
I was about to say that every exercise book had tables behind it.
Yeah. So
some of them they're on the inside.
On the inside, so much has changed. I don't know if they teach this, and Risi spoke about the children. I don't know if they teach civics in the school as the way we were taught civics.
They don't teach that. They don't teach it anymore.
It was a big thing. You see?
They do. They teach civics, but it's probably not like how it was done.
So there's so much that we can speak about, and I believe, as somebody said on thing, let's continue the conversation.
No, I definitely agree, because we have not even touched where we are today. And so much is happening. So we will be continuing the conversation next week, definitely. To look at where we are and whether we're in a good place or whether we are heading in a good place. So the discussion continues. I thank you all so very much again, Mr. Marshall. Thank you very much, for accepting our invitation and to share with us, information that is so important in helping us to understand where we came from and where we are heading and that transition. So we look forward to doing a part 2, as our listeners and viewers have asked. We're looking forward to that next week. So of course, folks, thank you very much. Enjoy the evening, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and of course we'll be back with you next Friday for We Culture. Have a good night, all the best.
Good night, bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire.